Hello, YouTube. Well, that went way better than I anticipated. I'm just had a great conversation with my landlord, and oh, by the way, it is 7:05 a.m. Saturday, April 23rd. 2022. So yeah, obviously I wasn't there very long, but great conversation with him. And my rent is going up. It's only going up $50, which for Arcadia, for anywhere in Phoenix, even in absolute shitty neighborhoods in Phoenix, that's a nothing. That's a nothing increase. God, do I feel lucky right now. He said that the current type of lease that I have, and he brought it out and had me review it, that I'm not on since what he initially did for me back a year ago was because there was concern that I didn't, qualify for their apartments the way they normally qualify for it, but because he was vouching for me as somebody who had lived there 5 years and had a handful of hustles, and that he genuinely believed would hustle up the rent, but knew that I didn't have squat for income on paper. Basically what they drew up for me is a whole lot different than all my neighbors have. They're all on pretty much traditional leases. Prior to that, I was on a traditional lease, but now I'm kind of on like a month-to-month contract. So I don't have quite as many protections, but I don't have quite as many obligations either. But it does specifically state that only at the end of every year can they do a rent increase, and it's $50. So, which I think I just said, but yeah, that's amazing. And we talked about how much stuff are going on. I mean, y'all want to call that phone number, go to the website and see what this place is renting for. I can guarantee it's renting for a whole lot more than what I'm paying at the place I'm at. And I even mentioned to him, it's like, well, does he know that in Arizona there's nothing that stops him from jacking up? I realize he's based in California, and California has laws that limit how much you can increase an existing tenant's lease. Does he realize that there's no such thing in Arizona? And I get the feeling that, I've never actually spoke with the owner. Lon has just been such a great property manager that there's just never been a need for that. And it just seems like Lon does a good enough job with it that the owner just doesn't even just lets Lon handle it, So, and Lon said his position is he'd just rather. I talked about how there's been a lot of stories on YouTube, especially in states like California where there are laws that prohibit how much an existing tenant's rent may be raised, where they oh wow, that's a new mural. That's cool looking. Remember to turn the phone when I get closer to it. Anyway, I said there's existing. Anyway, I was seeing a lot of YouTube videos where existing tenants, landlords are going to some pretty ridiculous measures to try to get existing tenants out, so that they're not bound by the rules that limit how much you can raise an existing tenant's rent. And God, I'm loving that mural. All right, that's totally distracting in the best possible way. And that's distracting in a kind of depressing way. I had a good friend that lived in this complex here, whom I lost. God, I think it's been over a year now. It's been a while. Anyway, complications from COVID, I think it was. I'm sure there was a lot more involved in COVID. But anyway, I digress. Sorry, it's hard to focus when I walk by places where so many things around me just trigger thoughts in my head, like, oh, look, there's the alley to Castaways. Anyway, on that note, I'm headed down to McDowell. Might take the McDowell bus, might just walk down McDowell. It's probably pop open the other phone and see how long it'll be till a McDowell bus shows up. Anyway, now there's somebody actually waiting for the McDowell bus on the other side. At least I think they're waiting for the bus. It looks more like a person waiting for a bus versus a homeless bus shelter camper. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of stories about just links that landlords go to boot tenants out, so they're not restricted by laws that limit how much they can raise rents, and so they can get a new tenant in at whatever the current market rate is. And Lon said that the owner is well aware that there's no such limitation in Arizona, and well aware that market rents have jumped up a lot. And at this point, he's like, we just would rather have full units and reliable tenants. And on that note, like, I live in a building that has 11 units. It's not an apartment complex per se. And yeah, Subway is gone. Kind of a bummer. It's two Subways that I used to regularly go to that don't exist anymore. This one and the one that used to be at 32nd and Thomas. Anyway, yeah, so he's so there's only 11 units, and I've had the same neighbors, I want to say I don't think I've had any change in neighbors in over 3 years. So, that's a good thing. And he said, it's like, yeah, get more in rent, but you lose so much money in trying to change over the apartment from one tenant to another tenant. And then with a new tenant, you never know what you're getting into. I mean, they might have a great financial, they do the application and they've got no bad marks on their credit, and they've got no got a stable income and so on and so forth, and then come to find out, like, they end up trashing the apartment. I mean, my place might not be particularly neat, but I'm not causing any damage, and I've been there and I've been reliable for, now it'll be 6 years. So, anyway, massive load off my mind. I will be staying in the place where I'm at. It is kind of comforting to know that I'm not really bound for a whole nother year as I thought I was. I think at this point I can, as long as I give greater than a 1 month notice that I intend to vacate, I can. So that's certainly something that I had kind of forgotten an option that I had forgotten that I have, as I contemplate, whether or not I still want to stay in Phoenix or maybe to Oregon to be closer to my daughter. Of course, that the big trade-off there is in doing that, I'm in many ways kind of abandoning my other daughter, but I haven't known of her whereabouts in over 2 years. So that's a tough dilemma, to say the least. All right, I'm at a bus stop, so I'm checking the Valley Metro Transit app. 7:14 a.m. It's not as easy to use on this goofy little phone here. Wow, there'll be one here at 7:18 a.m. And as always, it's super difficult to see where it is because it comes up in a resolution where I can't freaking see it. It's at about 64th Street. So yeah, I'm gonna wait here. I'm gonna wait here and take this bus over to Wandering, and hopefully the woman whose name I absolutely can't remember, and I feel stupid because she's told it to me several times. I'm just awful with names. But I made this here CD. Oh, and this is of course not the copy I wanted to give her, but oh well, it's the copy she's getting. It just says that. I meant to put the date and that I sourced it from MP3, and that it has supports CD text, because I did burn it with CD text. However, whatever. I'm not taking an extra trip home to write on it more with a Sharpie. So, I wish I could remember her name, but anyway, we had a. I don't think I've really talked about the jukebox over at the Wander Inn, but maybe I have. Anyway, I've actually talked with the owner, Quentin, the owner of the Wander Inn, about that jukebox, and it's like, I remember one time I told him, it's like, man, I wish he had touch tunes instead, because this jukebox has a horrible app that just doesn't work. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm aware. And in fact, it's probably the worst reviews I've ever read for an app on the Android. I can't remember if I read it on the Android App Store or if I read it on the Apple App Store, but regardless, just absolutely the worst reviews I've ever read of an app. And but he said that basically a bar owner gets pretty much no money whatsoever from TouchTunes, and that particular jukebox, he owns it, and he gets almost all the money that comes out of it. And he's well aware that the selection of music on it is crappy by comparison, but it's a revenue stream for the guy, so I can't slide him for wanting to have a revenue stream. That's when you own a business, a revenue stream is a good thing. So anyway, he so when I'm there, I do occasionally play music on the jukebox, and it's always a challenge to find stuff that I want to listen to. I mean, I'll always find stuff that I want to listen to. I'm into so much different music, like, it doesn't matter. Give me a pile of the worst records. I will find 2 or 3 of them that are something I'm okay with. It's like, oh, there's Roger Whittaker. I can hang with that. And other people are like, wait, who? And I'm like, really? You ever heard The Last Farewell? It's probably not what you're into, but it's a great song. Check this out. You know, there's just a lot of different music that I'm into. So I'll find something to play, always, regardless of how limited the selection is. So every time I walk to that jukebox, like, I kind of have something that I want to play. It's usually not available, and in the process of browsing to it, I find other stuff that's like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm not sure how many. Well, there's another killing machine. I'm not sure how many weeks ago it was. It's been a while, but I was there with the gal I'm hoping to go see right now. And we had been talking about the situation in the jukebox. In fact, I do believe that was the morning that Quentin was there, and we were also talking about what the deal was with the jukebox. And I don't remember what I walked over that I wanted to play. It probably wasn't available. But in browsing, I landed on Mana, and they had a whopping 1 song available from Mana. And I don't remember what it was. Or maybe it might have been the Santana featuring Madonna, or it might have had his Madonna featuring Santana, but I think it was the song off the Santana Supernatural album, which I'm forgetting the name of that song. But, oh, here comes my bus. I gotta wrap this up. Anyway, she had never heard Madonna before. I had never thought that she'd be somebody who'd be even interested in any kind of music in Spanish, but when it came on, she's like, this is really good. And we just started talking about Madonna, and I told her that I would burn her a CD of Madonna, which I've done, so hopefully I can get that to her shortly. So anyway, thanks for coming with me on this walk, and I gotta board this here bus.